Hello, everybody. Good morning. This is your host, Jordan Tremaine, and welcome to the Perspective Podcast, where we explore new thoughts, connect ideas, and offer perspectives that may change the way you think about a thing or two. And today, we're talking about content packaging. So, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope if you've been listening for a while and you enjoy it, you're back because you just can't wait for another edition. But if you're new here, I say welcome. I hope you have a good time here, and really I hope you just learn something new, look at something in a different way, or something just sparks in your mind, and hopefully you share it with somebody or have a conversation. So to that end, the whole point of this podcast is to spark conversation and new thoughts. So please share this podcast with other people that you think may benefit from the concept, or even not doing that, kind of just put it into conversation, the different kind of ideas that I give or try to give out to you guys. So just a little bit of me plugging myself. I think I'm going to be done with that for now, and we're going to talk about what is today's subject, which is content packaging. I think interesting to me when I think of content packaging, sometimes like you go to the grocery store, you go to like whatever store that has products, so every store, and sometimes there's cases where like you go to a certain aisle and maybe let's say, I don't know, you're gonna buy soap, and there's like a bunch of different soaps you can buy, and the best soap that will actually do the job is not typically the most expensive. I would say a lot of times there's this kind of research you got to do, or thinking you got to do about what's really going to suit your needs. I think a lot of the times we tend to shy away from certain products, in this case soap, or gravitate more towards products because they have certain packaging or they have certain brand identity. So maybe like I want to buy a pair of running shoes, and I go for one of the major brands because there's like a check on it or like 3 stripes on it, even though maybe it's way out of my budget, or it may not even really do what I'm trying to have done in my life, or maybe there's something that's a fifth of the price and it does the exact same thing, but the way that something is packaged can sometimes make us want to gravitate towards something or hesitate to gravitate towards something, and kind of ignore the merit of what we're really getting into, and really kind of just be kind of in awe of the shiny packaging. So it's kind of like crows, where crows like shiny things, and so they tend to like collect shiny things and put them in their nest. And it's like, well, what are we really concerned with? Are we concerned with the shininess of the packaging, the marketing scheme, or are we concerned with getting a good product? And so to that, I'm talking like I usually do about ideas, and this is kind of broad based. This goes for packaging, stuff like shoes, and goes for packaging, stuff like soap. But I'm focusing more on ideas, and I think bringing this up can sometimes help to dispel our desire or our compulsion to only deal with things that are within our comfort zone. And so there's something I've heard a lot in my life. I think one of the really easy small talk topics is music. It's kind of hard to put yourself into a position with music where people dislike you or they don't want to talk to you. And a lot of times I ask, because I love music, I listen to a lot of different types of music. And a lot of times I ask the question, or I've been asked the question, what kind of music do you like? What type of music do you listen to? That's kind of like, a good Kickstarter for some small talk. And the number one answer that I receive when asking that question is, I like all types of music except for country. And this is not me trying to judge different genres of music. So this is just a response that I've gotten very often. I've gotten other responses, but this one in particular, it's like the default answer in my experience. And what's interesting to me is, especially with music today, because of mixing and sampling, it's very difficult to listen to any song that's not influenced by almost every other genre. So that, number one, I don't want to like turn some small talk into a philosophical lecture too quickly, so I don't bring that up in the small talk. But the idea that I outright don't like music that's in a certain genre, like it is in this genre, so I don't like it. Or it's packaged this way, so I don't like it. It doesn't have anything for me. I'm going to be adverse to it because it has this label on it. That to me is one way of thinking. It's something you can totally do, and hopefully nobody's going to force you to do something different. But I present to you, the listener to this podcast, the idea that even if you are put off mostly by the country genre, there's got to be some songs in the country genre that are like your jam. There are so many songs and so many different artists in whatever we would categorize as country, that there has to be some songs that you're like, this song, this the jam, I'm loving this. And to that, for me personally, I have found songs in every genre that I've liked, and I've found songs in every genre that I haven't liked. And I don't really think the genre is the problem. I know I gravitate more to certain genres and certain moods when I listen to music, but I don't put music off just because it's a certain genre. Sometimes I put music off because it has explicit content, or what it's talking about is not cool, or maybe I'm not in the mood to listen to like really harsh, loud sounds. But that's particular music. That's not a genre. And I used to be super guilty of this with my roommate in college. He used to listen to ska music, and I was like, I hate ska music. Because in my mind, it was just like dun 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 with like random trumpets. And he used to have this like record player, and it would just like play super loud in the morning when I was trying to sleep. So I gained this adversity for ska music. But there's certain ska music that I didn't know. Like later, I learned it was in the ska category that I had always liked, but it wasn't that exact kind of tempo and rhythm, and I was like, oh, I like this a lot, but I didn't know it was ska, and it kind of made me have to rethink some of my values. So getting too much into that metaphor, that story, the idea of content packaging is, I think there's a lot of good everywhere, or there's a lot of good that comes under a lot of different names. And if you are super focused about making sure that your shoes have a check mark on them, then I think you're going to miss out on the possibility of getting some other really nice shoes that could do the same job or that look good with certain outfits. But if you're super focused on getting that check mark, then I'm not going to say you're going to have a bad time, but you're limiting your ability to experience good. There's good in everything if you look to find it. I did a podcast on chasing rainbows that talks about this, where if you're super focused on one sort of outcome, and this is also kind of like checklist versus non-list stuff, that podcast too, but you're super focused on one outcome, or one type of product. I'm only going to buy this. I'm only going to buy from this brand. I'm only going to listen to this genre. I'm only going to entertain ideas that come from this ideology or from this religion. You're limiting yourself. And like, I don't know, let's say you're a Muslim. I'm just picking a religion. I think Muslims can learn from atheists. I think they can learn from fascists. I think they can learn from Christians, Scientologists. I think there's information everywhere, and it's up to you what you do with it and how you use it. And even watching someone do something poorly can be a good learning tool. But to say like, oh, I'm Muslim, so I'm not going to listen to anything a Christian says, or I'm not going to listen to anything a Jew says, or I'm not going to listen to anything that any other, like when it comes to religion, I'm only listening to Muslim stuff. Like, to me, that's like ultra limiting. And you can do that if that's your prerogative, that's your belief set. I'm not trying to like force you to do anything else, but like, I think that by listening to stuff that's not what you're used to, by getting out of your comfort zone, it gives you wider perspective and gives you the ability to have a deeper appreciation for what you already like. And maybe expand what you like, or really understand, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And to that, I think that every genre has good music. Even if there's only one song you've ever heard of, like, I would say don't write off a genre just because you've heard a few songs that are bad. Don't write off a person because you've seen a couple of things that aren't your favorite. Like you, like anybody listening to this podcast has done a bunch of stuff that they are not the most proud of and maybe don't post on Instagram, but that doesn't mean you're an awful person that can never get better or that only does awful things. And if we only look at this front top layer that we're showing everybody, like if we only look at the Instagram version of everybody, if you want to talk about people in this talk, which goes a lot to the virtual puzzle pieces thing and the sensationalism podcast that I was explaining earlier, in earlier podcasts. You might not have the best time if you're super focused on the check mark, if you're super focused on how on point or on fleek or whatever you want to call how good you look on Instagram. You might get some content that you didn't expect or that was very good that you could have missed out on if you're too focused on how polished the post is. So I think there's good in every person. And this is subjective, where the good I see may be different from the good you see, but I think each person subjectively can find good in everything else if they look for it, if they have an eye for it. If you're looking to get slapped in the face with what you already think is good, and if you don't get slapped in the face by it, I'm not gonna. Then yeah, I think that you kind of will have this way of going about things where you're only looking for the good that you subjectively think is good that's obvious. But if you're willing to do some digging or some mining, like sometimes in order to get gold, you have to do some mining. You have to dig a little bit. Or sometimes to get diamonds, you have to dig a little bit. Diamonds aren't just always on the street. And if you're only saying like, oh, I love diamonds, but I'm only going to pick up the diamonds that I find on the street, like, you're going to find a lot less diamonds than if you're willing to dig for diamonds and understand where diamonds come from and like learn about where diamonds likely are and then go dig there. You're probably going to find more diamonds doing that, but it may be a little dirty and you may have to do some work. So maybe if you don't particularly like every country song, maybe you have to listen to 10 or 15 country songs before you like one. But really, was it like, okay, 20 minutes worth of music that wasn't your favorite, but now you found a song that like really speaks to your experience or that really like sounds good and you can like bump in your Alpines in the summer with your windows down? Like, okay, that's tight. Other songs that I've heard that I didn't know were country, I'd be like, this is a hip hop song, and they'd be like, nah, this is country. This came from Tennessee, and this is cowboy boots and guitars, and I'd be like, oh, okay, well, it's cool, okay. And so to that, I think there's good music in every genre. I think there's good information in every religion. I don't think you should write off a religion because it has one thing you disagree with or because it's not your religion. A lot of times religions are very interpreted. And so what you think may be this thing about this religion that's like evil and it makes this religion bad, it may be a particular group's interpretation of that religion. And when you really look into it, most people don't believe that. That's been my experience in some cases. And I think doing the work to dig a little deeper before you make a judgment is almost always rewarding. So there's good music in every genre. There's good information in every religion. I think each type of person, and I don't want to like really break this down and say every person is a certain type, this type, that type, but people are different. Every different person has something they can teach you. Every different person has something that you can enjoy with them. And if you're looking to only enjoy in the ways that you're used to or only be entertained in the ways you like, then that you know you like, then you are going to miss out on some new stuff. But if you're open-minded and you can try that new restaurant, you can try that new food, you can try that new song, you can go to that new experience, you can try that roller coaster even though you're afraid of heights, you may be surprised at how fun it is. And you may walk away from that day being like, oh, that didn't work out. But I mean, like, does anybody really expect every piece of their life to work out? I don't think you should put yourself in like dangerous situations and then like it goes like super awful and then you get hurt or something and then you're like, well, this guy on this podcast told me to try new things and now I lost my leg. It's like, no, I'm not telling you to sign up for the army because try new things, unless that's what you want to do. But what I'm saying is within reason, be open-minded and don't be too focused on the package it comes in. Like there's this idea like first impressions are super important. And I think, you should try to make a good impression, try to put your best foot forward. But like think about yourself. How often, like how many hours of the day, how many minutes of the day are you like on point? And how many minutes of the day are you off point? And if how likely is it that you're going to run into somebody and make an awesome impression? Like how many bad impressions do you make or not perfect impressions do you make? And if you always make good impressions and you're super sociable and all that kind of stuff, great for you. That's not how I am. Normally people run into me when I'm not ready to talk to them, when I'm in the middle of reading an article or I'm having a conversation with somebody. My mind isn't ready to be like, okay, everything's polished. We got the wax on the outside. It looks good. Like, let's meet this person. Sometimes it's like that, like an interview. But a lot of times I meet people like on accident or without expecting to, and I bumble a little bit. And if they were to judge my whole life based on that, like, oh, this person is a bad person because they bumbled, or this person is super jaded because I overheard them having a conversation and I heard a little snippet of it and I judged the whole conversation based on that snippet. So now I'm going to think that this person is this way. It's like, if you really get to know me, I think that the first impression of me may not be what you really think of me, but I think this is true for everybody. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't set yourself up to get taken advantage of, but like give people the benefit of the doubt. And if somebody was having an off day, a lot of people have off days. Like life is hard. Life is stressful. Like a lot of people have bad seasons, not even just bad days. So don't be like, oh, this person is a blah, blah, blah person because I met them once and they were being sad, or I met them once and they were being angry. And you don't know what happened to that person. Like, I remember, like once I started cycling, I started looking at cyclists on the side of the road. And I would have this thought in my head, like, you see this guy on the side of the road, or this girl, this person, they could be fat, they could be skinny, they could be tall, short, young, old, whatever. And they're riding this bike on the side of the road. And they could be like jamming and going really fast, or they could be going slow and looking exhausted. And I could judge them like, oh, this road is so flat. Why do they look so exhausted? But I don't know if this is mile 1 or if this is mile 150. I've ridden 200 miles before in a day, and the last couple of miles are flat, and I have a tailwind, and I'm exhausted, and I'm delirious, and I'm like not even sure I should be riding right now. It might be dangerous to do that. And people might ride by and be like, oh, look at this guy with his fancy bike looking all exhausted in his Lycra. Maybe, like, he's such a poser. And it's like, am I a poser? Like, maybe that's what you want to judge, but first impressions can be deceiving at times. So beware of getting too focused on what you see or what you hear. I would say seek to understand in all you do. Don't get too caught up in the packaging. Look for the good. Give the benefit of the doubt. And, try some country music every now and then. And I know I'm using that as an example. This is more of a metaphor. If you don't listen to country music, it doesn't bother me. I'm not really a big country music fan. But that's why it's like a big thing in my life, because since I'm not really a big fan of it, like I don't want to become jaded and say like, oh, I'm not going to listen to country music because I haven't had awesome experiences in the past. Like one of my friends from college, he took me line dancing because he was like, yeah, that's what I and my girlfriend go do, and his now wife. And I was like, all right. So I went line dancing, and it was fun. And like the music wasn't my favorite music, and I didn't dance the way I normally dance, but it was really interesting. And I guess this happens at line dancing clubs or wherever you go line dancing. Like if you show up early, then somebody like teaches lessons and like teaches you a certain line dance that you can use during the night. And if you go early on a regular basis, they teach different dances. So then you like learn how to dance for free. And I thought that was super cool. And then now I'm learning how to dance. I'm learning how to socialize in a new way. I'm meeting all these different people, learning a different culture. And if I had been like, nah, I'm not going to go, I don't listen to country music, then I wouldn't have had that experience and I wouldn't have been better for it. So I would say be careful what you do. Be careful what you let in your life. And, always have an eye out to protect yourself and your family and all that kind of stuff. But try new stuff and don't write stuff off just because it's not like the shiniest thing. Like just because it's not a Maserati or a Ferrari or something to be like, I'm not going to drive that. Because in reality, we don't. Most people don't drive those things. They like we just kind of put on Instagram that we're dope, and then like if you look at your real life, it doesn't match that. So don't be so focused on like the dope, sensational version of your life. Like let's look at real life. Let's try to understand what's really in front of us, and really like understand ourselves and learn and say like, is this cool? Is this something I can benefit from? Is this something I can learn from? And lastly, I want to put this out where sometimes we get caught up in positions that are not our favorite, and we know we're gonna like like my girlfriend wants to go to this place or this go to this concert, and I know it's like not my thing, but she wants me to go, and so I'm gonna go, and we can like be like, I don't want to go, but I'm gonna go because I've been kind of socially forced to go, or else I'll look like a bad person or whatever, and I'm gonna like smile, but I'm gonna hate the whole thing. You could do that, and kudos to you for grinding it out, I guess. Or you can say like, I don't expect this to be my favorite, but I'm gonna go into it and try and see what I can find that's good. I'm gonna try and appreciate this for what it is. Maybe these people practiced a lot for this concert, or maybe there'll be like super good hot dogs at the concert. I don't know, or a good light show. And there's something you can enjoy. And I think looking at it more from like, oh, on the outset, maybe I'm being taken to this country concert. I don't like country, but whatever. I'm going to go and complain all the time. You can be like, oh, I'm going to a concert with people I've never heard. Maybe I'm going to see something cool. And I think having that posture or that mentality can help a lot with us finding the good, and not waiting till we get to the end of the rainbow, not chase rainbows if you listen to that podcast. But this has been Jordan Tremaine. I hope you got something out of this podcast. I hope that it has inspired you or enlightened you a little bit to spark a conversation, or maybe give something the benefit of the doubt and try something new. If that's you and you like these podcasts, please give it a thumbs up or like it or rate it, or I don't know what platform you listen to this podcast on. It's a bunch of different platforms. But if it's possible for you to like it, rate it, share it, whatever. I know I said I wouldn't plug again, but here I am plugging again. Please do that. And yeah, I hope you have a good day. I will talk to you later. And yeah, see you later.